Hi, welcome back to the Analyst. Now, you're all probably wondering why I've decided to go through with all the channels for this show. Sorry, why I chose all these different news reports for my standard review, for my standard set of articles. And I believe that you, as my audience, you should all know. Now, first on the list is The Age. Why have I chosen The Age as one of my proper news channels and sources of feedback? Historically, The Age has had a very neutral way of speaking to the Australian audience, and it has not, to the best of my knowledge, endorsed any of the Prime Ministers except for the 2013 election. Furthermore, of all the newspapers in Australia, The Age is one of the few news pieces that is not owned by the Murdoch media, and thus not subjected to a right-wing bias. So there's that. It's one of my slight left-wing bias news reports or news paper. Now, on one of my other news reports is the ABC. Now, this is one of my slight right-wing news channel, and what you have to understand is that it is almost impossible to find an impartial news paper or news channel. As a result, I've compiled a large list of 5 or 6 different newspapers to give a clear and well-rounded view of what's going on in Australia and what's going on in the world. Now, the ABC is one of the slight right-wing pieces of my discussion and of my video. Now, to all the people in Australia wondering, when the ABC has a right-wing bias, technically it does have a right-wing bias. This is demonstrated when it has refused to discourse or discuss about the NBN network, which the government has spent over $75 billion on and has a cost overrun of $20 billion. Furthermore, the ABC has had a history of denying or toning down some of the criticism of the government due to the fact that it does not want to lose its news funding. This is demonstrated by the Liberal coalition, which came into power in 2013, and most of the ABC pieces, while did give a fairly good coverage of the problem with the Liberal coalition, did not do so completely. And furthermore, it has tried to balance everything out. And I mean balance, but balancing does not work. News is news, fact is fact. Now, on my list is the Sydney Morning Herald. Now, this is one of the best newspapers in Australia, in my opinion. It's well funded, but it also has a very neutral piece and setting, and there's lots of good opinion pieces to discuss and demur about certain topics. Furthermore, there's quite a lot of conflict between the authors and the writers, and I also believe that it's one of the few that is not corporate owned and thus not subjected to a neoliberal policy position. And finally, on my domestic list of Australian newspapers, I choose The Independent. Now, The Independent is quite good because it's self-funded by its readers, and not just like you buy the newspaper or you subscribe to it, like you get donations from the reader. And I believe that by talking about it or using news articles from The Independent, I can make it more well known, I can advertise it more easily, and I wish to continue to do so in the future. Finally, I have 2 different news sources for my international perspective. For my international perspective, I have the BBC, which is quite impartial, except that it has a slight Western bias, and this is demonstrated by the Paris attacks. And don't get me wrong, the Paris attacks were tragic, but they completely ignore similar attacks in Lebanon, Syria, and Libya. So, in case I want to get more detailed analysis on something that's happening in the Western world, I generally use the BBC. Now, my second international piece is the epoch time. So why have I chosen to use the epoch time? Well, that's quite interesting. I will explain it by going through by um, by discussing what the epoch time is. The epoch time is one of the few newspapers that is willing to take a very critical look at China and how it runs its government. Now, to be fair, most newspapers take some criticism to the Chinese government. However, due to the skyrocketing readership and the growth of the Chinese economy, many news corporations and organizations themselves, such as Hollywood, are unwilling to actually go through and discuss why China has so many issues and is unwilling to criticize China due to the fact that China at least has some shares in its market or some shares in its company. The Epoch Time does not have that. The Epoch Time was perfectly created to discuss and criticize China, and it has a very impartial view on it, in my opinion. It discusses missing authors, kidnapped people, chemical waste spills, crime in China, corruption. It's actually quite extensive. So combined between my BBC and my Epoch Time, I believe I'm going to get a slightly negative view of what's happening in the world, but it's going to be very impartial. And finally, the most strangest of all is Politico. Politico is what I believe to be the most neutral website or neutral news channel about politics in Australia. I mean America. Now, my channel is mostly based about Australia, but if I want to discuss what is ever happening in America and how it affects the global economy, because let's face it, America is huge and it affects us all, I'm going to use Politico. So with these channels comprised of my major news networks, I believe I can get a very impartial view of what's happening around the world. And due to that, I hope to share that view with you. I wish to share that analysis with you because this is an analysis. So with all that clear in mind, I hope my viewers continue to subscribe and take up my channel or view my channel. Hope you share it in the future. Thank you.